If you are wondering why the enemy always have more gold than you do, this video is the one you definitely need. We will go over all tricks the professional Mobile Legends players apply to optimize their gold obtaining. So let's not waste any more of your valuable time and start with this video. The first thing you really need to remember is that making kills isn't the way to obtain gold. I'll explain this a bit further in the video, but please remember this very well. While these tips can be applied to each lane, you must understand that players at the gold lane has far bigger chances of obtaining the most amount of gold. This is due to the fact the gold lane provides more gold and marksman heroes are just more effective in farming. But still, in each lane you have a good chance of getting the most amount of gold if you act correctly. So it first starts with the minions. Each wave of minion provides you with an opportunity to get a certain amount of gold. If you aren't around, you gain 0 gold. But if you deal 3 times the last hit, you gain 33 plus 65 plus 83 is 180 gold from the first minion wave. If you can make sure the enemy can't last hit any of the minions, they only gain 51 plus 26 plus 65, which adds up to 142 gold. In this situation, you are already 39 gold ahead by just focusing on last hitting the minions, and this difference grows each wave, since minions are worth more and more. An even better way to create a bigger gap of gold is to try driving the enemies away from the minions, so he isn't around when one or multiple minions die. So if you manage to make a kill, let the enemy recall, or just drive away the enemy from the minions, you can make sure they obtain no gold from a minion wave, while you get almost 200 gold out of them. So we now know, by correctly managing the minion wave, you can create quite a big gap of gold. It really depends on the hero you choose and the one you match up against to determine which strategy works best for you, because sometimes it's better to focus on clearing the minion wave as soon as possible. That's because the gold you obtain from the turret the first minutes is also a very important way to add a lot of gold. You can get like 350 gold when removing the full shield of the turret during the first 5 minutes of the match. However, it isn't likely you'll get the full amount. Some heroes do really well at destroying turrets, and those ones should pay attention to get the maximum amount of gold possible from the turret. If you already saw my video about the 10 best ones to destroy turrets, you will understand which ones are the best ones for this job. Always focus the minions first and the gold from the turret second. This adds more gold than jungle monsters do, so keep this in mind. You can even stand in the range of the turret and let the minions attack it for you, so you can keep a safe distance. While it goes way faster if you help, this trick still adds more than killing a jungle monster and is a bit safer than being forced to come close to the turret. Map awareness is quite important if you want to attack the turret. Nothing is more of a setback than recalling or getting killed, so prevent this whenever possible. If there's a chance a hero of the other lane or the jungler can gank you, just wait in safety or kill a jungle monster. So if you can't kill minions or attack the turret, you can prioritize jungle monsters. Always start with the gold crab, since the enemy can take it as well. You can also take out the jungle monster at your side, but only if you don't steal it from the jungler. Especially in early game you don't want to steal it, since the jungler needs to farm too. But if you're a bit further during the match and the jungler isn't around to take it out, feel free to kill it to gain some extra gold. An even better way to add gold is by stealing the jungle monsters of the enemy. This way they lose farming potential while you gain extra gold, which increases the gap between you and the enemy. This is quite a risky strategy, so only try this when you play a hero that can take out the monster quickly. Also, map awareness is quite important again, so don't kill it when there's just the slightest chance of getting ganked, because we don't want to get killed or recall, especially in early game. This is also the reason I told you that making kills isn't a good way of obtaining gold. While the 200 gold is a nice bonus, it often isn't worth the risk. Trying to make a kill has like a 50% chance you get killed or lose too much HP, which forces you to recall. This leads to you missing one or multiple minion waves, which is at least 142 gold per minion wave. Then you also miss an opportunity to attack the turret or kill a jungle monster, which result in you losing multiple hundreds of gold while the enemy can farm freely. That doesn't mean you should play really safe and keep away from the enemy. I often try to poke the enemy enough to let him recall, so I can farm freely and his minions die from the turret. Try to perform this on a safe way, so you minimize the risk. But every time deal just a few hundred HP, reduce his health little by little. It won't get you a kill, but forcing the enemy to return to base is almost equally rewarding. You need to understand that farming really well means that you increase the gap between you and the enemy's gold, and not getting as much gold as possible while increasing the risk of getting killed. Try to apply these tips in early game and you have a good chance of getting the most amount of gold of all heroes. Then in mid game, your strategy should change a bit. Now it gets more important to destroy turrets and the turtle. So hopefully you already get the first turret of the enemy down and have more space to kill the jungle monsters or help at other lanes. You shouldn't forget that killing minions is still your main source of gold, so keep an eye on your lane. A great strategy to be sure you obtain the full amount of gold from them is killing them when they haven't met your minions yet. This way they have no chance of getting killed by them, so you get the most amount of gold from them. This also has the benefit that you have more time to gank another lane or kill jungle monsters until there are minions again. If you think these tips are helpful to you, please consider to hit the like button, since this is quite helpful to me. The turrets are a bit more important during mid game. You want to take the first two down of each lane, so you open up the battlefield. Analyze the situation carefully to determine if and where you can take down a turret. These add some gold to your team, which helps to increase the gap. Of course, it's also necessary to get to the base, so try to focus on the turrets as much as possible during this phase. The turtle can also add a good amount of gold to your team. It's fairly easy to take out compared to the Lord, so don't forget this guy. If there are 3 enemies killed, you have a good chance of taking it out on a relative safe way. Pay close attention to your minimap, and you don't want to get the turtle stolen by the enemy team. While kills aren't important in early game, it gets a bit more valuable during this phase. I suggest you still focus on minions, turrets and jungle monsters, but kills can now add some gold and remove an enemy from the battlefield. For me, it always helps to check the amount of gold the enemy has compared to your gold, to get an idea which enemies can be strong and which ones are easy to take out. This way you can estimate if you have a big chance of winning in a 1 versus 1 battle, so make wise use of the scoreboard. So mid game is all about objectives and making sure you still get as much gold as possible to work towards late game. During late game, your build is likely almost finished and you maybe just need 1 or 2 more items before you can act at full power. You want to get this as soon as possible, so you still have an advantage over your enemies who don't have their full builds yet. To do this, you want to farm on a smart way. The best you can do is clear the minions in one lane, move through the jungle of the enemy to clear their jungle monsters to get to the next lane and clear the minion wave there. I don't have to tell you that you should only do this when it's safe and it isn't likely you'll get killed. Just don't stick around the same location for too long and be careful around bushes. By stealing their jungle monsters, their team can't obtain that gold, which puts you and your team in an advantage. You can only do this when the lanes are pushed, so analyze the situation before you make these steps. Another great way to add some extra gold is participating in teamfights. It's really important to help your team when needed, but this potentially adds a lot of gold too. You can get multiple kills or assists, which adds hundreds of gold in seconds. The downside is that getting killed is also one of the options, so try to make sure you enter a team fight when you know your team has the upper hand. Getting killed is never something good, but especially not in this stage of the match, since this can lead to the enemy team winning the match. Then we have the Lord. Not only is it a great way to finish the match, but it also adds like 300 gold to each hero of your team. That's quite a big amount, so always keep your eyes open for opportunities to kill this big guy. It's like the same as the turtle. If you kill like 3 or 4 heroes, you often have a good chance of killing the Lord. Of course this depends on which heroes are alive in your team, but it's a good rule of thumb to look for opportunities to take the Lord down. So in late game, you want to clear minion waves and try to steal the jungle monsters of the enemy. Also get some turrets down, and when you see an opportunity to take down the Lord, I want you to go for it. Apply these tips and I'm confident your gold will grow rapidly. I really hope this helps you to gain more gold to ultimately win the match. If these tips were useful to you, I would really appreciate if you give a like on the video. Also, don't be shy to ask your questions or add comments, because I truly love to hear from this amazing community. If you want to stay updated with guides about Mobile Legends, you can subscribe for free today. As always, thank you for watching and I'll be seeing you again in the next guide.